I think it would be really helpful for our audience to hear from you a very basic understanding of what is science and why is it so important when, particularly at a time when so many people, including among the oppressed, are, oh, science, I'm not going to get vaccinated, I'm not going to do any of this, who knows what this is all about. So I think it's very important for people to understand what it, in its essence, actually is.
Look, science, you know, there's an interview with Ardea Skybreak, Science and Revolution, and she makes a point and emphasizes it. Science is an evidence-based process. You go by you interact with the larger reality. You gather evidence and facts about, you know, what that shows, what comes forward, what the evidence is about different phenomena, different parts of reality. And then that's the raw material from which you then look to see what are the patterns in that reality, what, you know, might be superficial, what's deeper, what are the underlying causes of it. You know, you have to go to work to do that. And then you analyze that, and then you synthesize it. You draw together the essential things that you can learn from that about the patterns in reality and underlying driving forces in reality. That's what science does in any particular, it's just a way of engaging and learning from reality by applying the method of analyzing what you're learning from interacting with reality and then drawing together the key things to get to the core, the essence of what that shows. And, you know, this is in whether it's medicine or any other, you know, physics, you know, biology, archaeology, any other sphere of science. This is what people who are applying the scientific method are doing. And, you know, a lot of people these days are anti-scientific and they don't want to hear about science because, well, some things have been really terrible things have been done in, you know, in the sphere of medicine, you know, like the Tuskegee experiment, you know, where they let black people who had syphilis just suffer from it, to, you know, to see what would happen. And there have been other things, you know, of that sort. But Skybreak also makes the point that that's bad science. Mm-hmm. And you can use the good science, the actual scientific method that I was just speaking to actually learn about reality and to refute the bad science. And, you know, some people say, you know, and it's understandable, people say, especially people who are oppressed, well, they've lied to us about everything. They lie to us, you know, about the history of the country. They lie to us about the present reality of the country. They lie to us about how people are treated in this country now. You know, they just lie. So why should we believe anything they say? And the answer to that is you shouldn't believe anything they say, quote unquote, but you should apply the scientific method to actually investigate reality and then do the work to determine what that actually shows. You know, and for example, vaccines. All right, you know, yes, it's true. The ruling class, you know, down through history here in this country and other places, carried out terrible things in the name of science, including medical science. But then if you analyze further, like, do you really think, for example, the ruling class of this country wants total chaos where everybody is so sick that they can't even go to work, that the economy breaks down, that they're weakened in the international arena where they're contending with other imperialists like Russia and China, you know? But more to the point, look at the actual evidence. Millions of people have gotten vaccines. There are almost no serious side effects from all this. Look at the actual evidence. Don't look at what somebody says on the social media. I mean, you can look at it, but then compare it to reality. Mm-hmm. You know, look at the actual evidence about, that's how you know, or, you know, Kyrie Irving and apparently Shaquille O'Neal and some of these other fools talking about how the world is flat. You know, well, look at the evidence. Is there any evidence to show that the earth is not flat, that it's actually round? There's plenty of scientific evidence. You can look into it yourself and you can determine for yourself what's true. And that's what the scientific method is. And everybody, not just scientists, but everybody, when they're dealing not only with natural phenomena such as hurricanes, you know, are hurricanes, do they occur because God wants to punish America because it's letting gay people have rights? That's what Christian fundamentalists say. Is that the truth? Or do hurricanes happen because a whole bunch of people in Philadelphia sneezed at the same time? You know, or is there actually some real causes of hurricanes? What are they? You know, look into it. Determine for yourself what the evidence shows on the basis of actually rationally engaging reality and looking at it and then synthesizing the evidence. Yes, the earth is actually round. I mean, I don't know if he's joking or not, but I read a statement by Shaquille O'Neal where he said, well, I've flown from one part of the world to another, and I never tipped over, so how could it be round? I mean, I'm sorry, but, you know, first of all, Shaquille O'Neal's a pig anyway, and proud of it. If you don't believe me, go check it out. You know, he brags about how he went on raids with the drug administration and stuck some drug dealers or alleged drug dealers' face down in the toilet. So, you know, I don't have anything good to say about Shaquille O'Neal to begin with, but this is a world-class level of ignorance to talk about that. I mean, if you put an ant on a basketball and it goes around the basketball, it's not going to flip over, okay? You know, and the same thing is true with the big sphere of the earth compared to a tiny airplane, okay? The airplane goes around like an ant going around a basketball. You're not going to flip over just because it's round, okay? I mean, but you know, don't take my word for it. Go do some work. That's one of the things we talk about in the culture, the lack of curiosity, you know, just laziness. You know, people not really wanting to do, you know, don't want to read a book, don't want to learn about history. You know, okay, maybe I'm overstating, it's not everybody, but it's way too much a phenomenon in the culture. You know, the lack of curiosity, it's one of the striking things. How are you ever going to bring into being a better world if you're not curious, including about the way the world is and why why it's the way it is? So, you know, do some work. You know, this is work anybody can do. Anybody can look into the evidence, anybody can you know, apply the scientific method to determine what's true. And that's what people need to do. I've said it before, don't believe anything on faith. But go by the evidence, go by the scientific method to determine what's actually true, and not what's a bunch of bullshit that some people put out there, you know, to try to mislead you, or because they themselves are misled, you know, and may make you feel good for a little while, but it isn't going to change anything that makes you feel bad.